Natalie, thanks so much for having a chat with us today.
Hi, Lucy.
First of all, congratulations on such an amazing film.
Thank
Saw it
you.
last night, scared the crap out of me, to be quite honest.
Good.
So first of all, for anyone who's thinking about seeing The Forest and is kind of intrigued by it, can you sort of sum up in a couple of sentences what it's all about in the scariest way possible?
A woman who goes in search of her lost sister into a dark forest with, against the better warnings of other people, looking for her sister, but ends up finding her inner demons instead.
We were going to give you a bit of a quiz and kind of a test on whether you could survive the Sugarscape Forest.
The Sugarscape
The
Forest?
Sugarscape Forest. It's not quite as sinister as the forest in the movie because that is very sinister.
Okay.
But there's a few challenges along the way.
Okay,
Are you
hit
up for
me.
that?
Let's go.
Okay, cool. Question 1. You can choose one sidekick to take into the forest with you. You can choose either Cressida, Marjorie, or Anne Boleyn.
Oh, definitely Cressida. She's
Yeah?
the most practical, surely.
Yeah, she'd know a lot of skills, I think, wouldn't
Yeah.
she? You're in the forest. One path leads to total darkness, one path leads to a raging river, or one path leads to a neglected, abandoned shack. Which one do you head towards?
I'd go towards the river.
Why?
Well, I'd hope that it would take me out.
Yeah, that's probably good logic.
Follow the flow down, but
Yeah.
as people will know if they watch the Forest movie, that's not always the
Not
way.
the best plan.
No.
You've been trekking for hours now through a very, very miserable forest. You stumble across a box of untouched pizza that may or may not be cursed, but you're starving and you're miserable and you're hungry. Is it worth eating?
Oh God, you probably can't help yourself, right? You
Exactly.
probably do go for the pizza.
Yeah, I mean, who can resist a box of pizza, really?
Cold pizza the morning after is always great, especially if you've
best.
got a bit of a hangover.
Suddenly you hear a scream behind you. You grab your iPod and pick a song that makes you run the fastest. What's the song?
Oh,
From your workout playlist.
That's a good one.
And then-
Probably Lady Gaga.
Oh,
There
yeah,
we are.
that's a good one.
Then we're keeping the theme of Taylor Kinney, my co-star.
Oh, yeah, of course,
in
good
this
shout.
movie. So it would be a Lady Gaga, bad romance or
Yeah,
something.
great one. Finally, you reach a clearing in the forest and you find a talking unicorn, a talking rabbit, or a fairly small talking dragon. Which one do you approach for advice?
You get on the dragon and you fly out of there.
that's such a good
Amelia
shout.
Clarke has taught me well.
You hear a flapping overhead and a fairy has landed to help you on your way through the forest. Would you rather it was Jennifer Lawrence, Taylor Swift, or Maisie Williams?
Oh, I'm torn between Jen and Maisie. I love them both very much.
They'd both be cute fairies.
Yeah.
Are there any tricks that you might have learnt from Cressida that could help you on your path through the forest?
Well, if I get the semi-automatic rifle that she was carrying, then I'd feel a hell of a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, that could be helpful. Luckily, you remember that the talking dragon told you that telling really bad jokes keeps evil spirits away. Do you have one that you can use?
There's a truck driver and his co-driver, and he turns to his co-driver and he goes, "How tall are penguins?" And his mate goes, "Oh, they're about that high." And the other guy goes, "I just run over a nun." That's probably the worst joke I know.
Bad, but also good.
Sacrilegious as well.
As an extra bonus. So there's a parent trap style scene in this movie where you play both sisters in one scene. How was it acting with yourself? Must be kind of
Difficult.
weird. Yeah.
It's a bit tricky to do, I have to say. I mean, technology is fantastic now. You can, on the monitor, split the screen. So by the time you get to the second character, you can see what you were doing in the first half of this and match it up. But that only helps you sort of physically not mess up. It doesn't help with characterization.
Yeah, how did you rehearse the lines with yourself?
Yeah, it was a really schizophrenic moment. I have a lot of, I have even more respect than I did in the first place for Tom Hardy for doing it with Legend recently.
Oh, of course.
I remember thinking, if we had more scenes like this in the movie, then maybe I'd get better at it.
So it's a pretty dark story. Were there any points where the darkness of the story started to get into your own head a little bit? Did you find that you were sleeping with the light on at any points?
I was so exhausted, to be perfectly honest with you, that because as you can see, we did a lot of night shoots. So I would get back to my hotel at sort of like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I put their eye mask on, their earplugs in, try and shut the curtains so that light wouldn't come through, and just then collapse. There was a lot of running around, so I was tired.
Okay, so not too bothered about all the spirits and all that kind of stuff?
No, the spirits, I was just like, F off, I'm exhausted. I'll deal with you in
Too
another
badass.
12 hours.
So your character in this film kind of loses control of herself the longer that she stays in the forest, which is very different to the women that you normally play in films. Characters like Cressida and Marjorie, who are very in control. How did you find that? Was it quite difficult for you, or?
It was very liberating to play someone completely losing control. I mean, I've done it a couple of times. I did it on stage about 4 years ago. And as an actress, it's kind of, it's a lot of fun to descend into madness.
Yeah, all the screaming.
Exactly, mentally and physically, and not to give what you look like either, because you're just so in the moment and rolling around in the dirt, quite literally. So I feel like I've had a bit of a reprieve, actually, because when we get to season 6, when Marjorie, she's not in control anymore. So I sort of, went from the forest into playing Marjorie season 6. So I've had a nice liberation of women that are out of control.
Rolling around in the mud is always fun.
Yeah, Marjorie's rolling around in the mud as well, actually. So
Seeing a theme.
So there's a theme with my last couple of projects.